Hello everybody, welcome back to Low Friction Friday, and as always hope you have had a great week of low friction cycling. Today's episode is pretty much just going to be a whole bunch of news updates really, because there's just been so much going on. Stacks of stuff on a whole bunch of different topics to cover. Need to get some, suggestions and input from your good selves as well, just on a couple of decisions, and yeah, let's get into it. Right, firstly on the video front, I think overall last week's video had less errors in it than the debacle of the week before. However, I was just highlighted today where, because I hadn't noticed this, I often don't listen to my own videos back because, as most people will know, listening to yourself is sort of weird. But yeah, they highlighted a section where pretty randomly my voice goes to a pitch where it's like I've been smashed in the nuts or taken some helium. No idea what is going on there. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to adjust the audio characteristics to do that if I was paid $1 million. So why the video editing software is doing some funny things still is obviously beyond myself. And yeah, we will see. I'm using Wondershare or Filmora Wondershare because it is really easy to use, even for a, I may as well be from an Amish community trying to work a computer that's about my level. So I tried a bunch of other video software when I was starting to do my own YouTube vids, as opposed to having a guy come up and film it and upload it for me. And a bunch of them I tried, even doing very basic things. It's like, I'm going to have to spend so much time that I do not have to try to learn this software. This one is easy, overall, even for me. But it seems to be doing some pretty weird stuff. So that was a new one. Did have a pretty big laugh when I listened to that part back. So if you were also wondering the same when you were listening to last week's video, apologies for that. No idea what's going on. Let's see what happens this week. Also, one of my, long-term viewers of this channel, Robert, had pointed out, or just sort of questioned, that I was looking very tired and pretty haggard recently, and that has been true. I didn't want to make excuses a couple of weeks ago, but literally for 2 weeks in a row, I've had a bunch of, not great luck with bees and spiders when I've been out cycling. I have been stung by bees a bit recently, and I get quite a reaction. It doesn't matter how many antihistamines and or steroids and so on that I can take to try to keep that calm. After I get a sting or a bite, I will be basically itching all through the night for nights in a row. So I was operating for a fair bit of the last couple of weeks on about 1 hour sleep a night, spending the rest of the nights just basically itching. So, and I don't have a lot of IQ buffer to begin with. However, I haven't been bitten by anything for the last week, so that's been amazing. And I believe, got all 3 neurons back online. So let's see if today goes a little bit smoother. And last little update just on the video front. So yeah, I think overall the GCN vid seems to have been fairly well received. I've gone through a bunch of the comments where I can in between things. It's been a pretty busy week. And overall it seems like a fairly positive reception, and thank you. I know that there's a number of you that watch this channel and have been following ZFC for a while that were, pleased to see that and contributed something positive into the comments. So yeah, super appreciate when you're able to do that, because obviously that really does help support ZFC. There should be a part 2 coming out. You are correct, they did do a brilliant job in able to have a video with myself at 15 minutes. That was obviously not how long the recording was, so some excellent editing there. And I think that'll probably be similar for, there should be a second one coming out, I think, in 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see what their sort of video release schedule's like. But thank you everyone for that. However, it has raised, again, a little fun thing to have to deal with. Yeah, it unfortunately has again triggered the venereal disease out there that is the durian rider. So even since I guess I did that video ages ago, just updating that he was attacking ZFC and why. He'd made about 10 or 11 videos again attacking ZFC since then. The GCN vid has triggered him, and I don't know if it's actually his partner, the Get Fit with Natasha, posting some comments, or if it's just him as her posting the comments. But making a whole lot of claims that basically I've been racist towards Hambini. So I've emailed Hambini to obviously let him know that, obviously I have never and would never be racist to him or anybody else. I am a firm believer that we are the human race, and that is it. So it's just nuts that someone can just make up stuff like that, which is pretty nasty and malicious, and just throw that out there for the world. Also, make up data that obviously rip off people with the chains and the wax, and goes on and on and on. So I have to do something because at the end of the day, where's it going to stop? What else is he going to make up next? And he's still got, like, I think nearly 250,000 subscribers. So there's going to be a whole bunch of people that will probably take on board some of what he says. So it's just not very nice to have someone just obviously making up really nasty stuff about you and putting that out there to the world. So I'll be having a little bit of a look into what to do. Probably first step will be to try to get the videos that he's made, just sprouting out all that crap, taken down. There's a bit of a process, I think, to go through with regards to lodging sort of that a video is defamatory or defamation with YouTube. It's not that easy. It looks like I'll actually have to listen to the videos because I have to put in there the actual wordings that he's said verbatim and the time, so that's a pain in the ass. And I'll consult with some other people as well on what the next step is. But just be aware, he's on the warpath again, so fun times, and just a waste of time to have to deal with that sort of stuff that I could be spending doing rather more valuable things. But we have to deal with what is, and he is unfortunately a venereal disease cancer that is a what is in the ZFC sphere that we just have to deal with. Alright, just a brief heads up, because it's something that I could do it as an actual deeper topic, but I just want to keep everyone in the loop a bit on what the loose future plans are overall with ZFC. So when I started it, I thought, look, if it goes well, I'll see if I can keep it going, if I'm still able to, I guess, add value in this space and also be enjoying it, that I'll basically look to keep going until I'm 50. I turned 50 this year, so it's sort of that review time. And I guess on the plus side, overall, I am still having a lot of fun, and B, far out, there is still so much work to be done. So I'm not looking to make a call to step out just yet. So I'm probably going to push it to, say, the 10-year mark. So when ZFC turns 10, which will be basically a couple of years from now. And there's a fair bit to want to get done between now and then. I still feel like there is so much work to be done in this space. And ideally, if I'm to step out, it would be great if there was another, sort of test body that's really stepping in and hopefully building on or doing better, the testing and the work that I've been able to do so far. And in general, you've probably noticed I'm pretty bad with social media. Obviously, I'm doing my best to try to do really well with the YouTube comments, but Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of stuff I'm not really on. And I imagine when I step out of this space, I'll probably really not be on YouTube much either. So it's something that, for me, I guess the enjoyment part of it is important, as well as the I guess the fulfillment part with regards to what ZFC is able to achieve. And a part of that is also, if I can sort of get the feeling that the work is being genuinely valued, and it's something that would be not great if that sort of resource was no longer here. So whilst overall I'm really enjoying the time at ZFC, I can tell you, after I guess 8 years of doing this, and there is obviously a lot of test work that you guys don't see because it is for manufacturers. But running the main test, and I'm going to do a whiz through the updated test brief document shortly. I can't, I guess, say anything other than physically running the testing. It is a fair bit of a grind. The testing is very time and resource intensive. So, it is not a short, clean lab based test. The test is going for thousands of kilometers. There is so much, I guess, sort of intervals where you do need to take action. Either it's a relube, or you're doing contamination, or you're doing a check measure. At the end of test, there's the detail reviews to be done. There's the cost to run modeling to punch out. All the machines need to be obviously maintained and reset, and new parts on, recalibrated, ready for the next test. Every test is a lot of work, and it's a pretty big grind. It's always exciting to see the results. So there's that's the fun part of it, and then obviously what we can learn from those results, or learn about that particular manufacturer. Yes, I wanted to put a bit of perspective on just it's been a really, I guess, hard fought, hard grind league table of data to build. just being such a long test that assesses so many things that a clean lab test does not assess. And then there's all the cost to run modeling and detail reviews and so on that follow. So I mean, it is literally just countless hundreds, possibly into now the 1,000 plus hours of labor time to build up this data table that is open to everybody, so that no matter what country in the world that you live in, you can look at that data table and you can pick a lubricant option from that data table that suits your cycling needs. So because you can sort that by the dry dust contamination block if you're a gravel cyclist, off-road mountain bike. You can sort it by wet conditions if that's what you typically cycle in the most, or just the overall main test end result. There's just so much there, and obviously if you want to look deeper into a particular product, then the detail reviews are there, apart from a few I need to catch up on. So I can't see that there's going to be anything that will I guess be able to replace this anytime soon. It's just not easily replaced, and so it's obviously of high value to me because of all the the work that has been put into it, in the hopes that it's high value to the cycling I guess both media and every cyclist of every type that's out there. That's been the whole aim and the whole driving purpose. And so definitely, obviously, it's something that I'm going to be passionately need to defend if it's attacked, and so I hope that understands as well. So for however long I push on for, which is really going to be the combination of, am I still having fun, and am I still feeling like I'm really adding value to the cycling community, for however long that time is, what has been hard fought and a hard grind to achieve, I think should be defended. Alrighty, so with the spike of interest from the GCN vid, it has been overdue for me to update on the lubricant test page the test brief document. I did have a link to the full test brief, so stepping out basically every step of the zero friction cycling main test and what each block is assessing. The link was a little bit hard to see, so it was missed, and also it was, even for me, pretty poorly written. So it was one of the first documents obviously that I did about 8 years ago, so that was time for a much better update, which has been done. So by the time this video goes up, I guess on the lubricant test page there should be a big bold link to this document now, and it's a much better written document than before. And we'll also look to put this in the instructions tab so that the ZFC main test brief is easily found there as well. But basically it explains, I guess, why the test brief or the test protocol is what it is and what it is going to assess and why. And then it steps through each block. So what is the block? What does the no contamination sort of block mean? What are the gearings? What are the relube intervals? Because we get questions about, is there any relubrication during the main test? Is there any cleaning of the chain during the main test, and so on? So everything is explained and stepped out. So every interval, go through to block 2, so what is that going to be assessing and how and why, and every single interview and step throughout block 2, then block 3. Obviously you're not going to believe this, but then it will be block 4, the wet contamination block, again stepping through every single interval and what is done, and the relubes and the contamination addition. And finally block 5, because the actual main test that we do the cost to run calculating on is block 5. There is an extreme contamination block 6 if a chain has wear allowance left, but that is pretty rare, and the data's pretty sort of wobbly by then to like I can't really extrapolate lubricants that didn't make it to block 6 for a result in block 6. Bit of a summary wrap on all of what the test does by the end of all that, a video to demonstrate the addition of the contamination and some of the FAQs. So if you are curious about exactly what the main test does, how it does it, and really anything at all, it is all explained much better now in the very soon to be uploaded test document. Test brief doc. And also I've been a little bit behind just updating the data file with the latest tests, so I'll be looking to get that done over the weekend as well, so that we're sort of up to date. I won't have got to some of the latest cost to run modeling for the latest tested lubricants. That will be as soon as I can find a spot, but the actual just main data file at least will be updated and up hopefully over the weekend. Right, quick test update. The full detail review for this one will follow in the future. However, I have finished the test for the Finish Line, the green top bottle, which is their wet lubricant. I was partly able to finish that one pretty quickly because it did not last very long. Short version is, we'll duck to the data in a sec, but the short version is, it's pretty bad. Okay, here we go. So, Finish Line Wet, which is the green top bottle. In block 1, as I touched on, I think last week, 15.1%, which is, it's not horrific, but it's pretty bad. Especially really with wet lubricants, they don't normally present any initial penetration issues. So if you get a high-ish wear result in there, it's usually just going to be the actual performance of the lubricant and not really able to be attributed to something else like the lubricant not making it to the pin. Block 2, it recorded a pretty whopping 91.1%, so it basically wore through pretty much the entire chain wear allowance of 0.5% in that 1,000 kilometer block. So it has become extremely abrasive. So this is not a gap of 15.1 to 91.1, that is 91.1% is the wear rate just for block 2, so pretty horrific stuff. Just sorting by the end of block 2 because that is as far as it made it, because it's now at a total wear of just over 106%, so that has exceeded the wear rate allowance for the test. We have them basically out of now 41 open lubricant tests. We have them in 40th place with their Finish Line ceramic wax. The green wet lubricant is in 36th position. And their red top, the Finish Line Dry, is the least worst at 29th. That gives them an average ranking out of, I guess, across the 3 lubricants I've now tested for Finish Line of 35. That's obviously not in a great place to be. Just one quick picture while we're here at the end of the test, so yeah, just after the end of block 2. We can see it's pretty dirty stuff. It goes on pretty thick. I imagine it will be a pretty long-lasting lubricant because it's heavy stuff, and so if anything, the standard relubrication intervals for the test are, I guess, earlier than what FL Wet would need. It would be able to go longer, and there's potentially a little bit of an issue of over-lubrication here, just following the standard test protocol and the standard relube intervals for the test. However, excess is wiped after each relubrication as best as can be done. I certainly went through a fair few microfiber cloths trying to do that with this product, and even if I was to do a retest, reapplying say less frequently to avoid any potential over lubrication issue, so that it may look less worse than this does not equal a good result in terms of just overall cleanliness, and I really don't think it is going to help it with its wear rate results at all. And again, even if it is a little bit less worse than the results attained were extremely poor, so less worse than that is not equaling good. Right, in the full detail review for this product, I'll be going through obviously the marketing claims on the bottle and the website and so on, but a real quick note, I guess, the concerns I have for companies like Finish Line, especially I guess they've been around for a long time, they're their sort of legacy, brand name from 2 decades plus ago, that, are they more or less resting on their laurels? Like, did they bring out bicycle chain lubricants a couple of decades ago when there was for sure no testing or assessment on the horizon as to whether or not these are actually performing great or not? They are just basically a lubricant that could well have just come from, X industry. They're rebottled and rebranded for use in cycling. If they've been specifically developed to be awesome as a bicycle chain lubricant, where is their actual testing and data of that? So I have tried previously to contact Finish Line and try to get some of that. Obviously, I do that pretty much for all tests. If it's just a test that I have done myself and it's of my own curiosity for a particular brand's product, If it's gone poorly, before I do the detail review or after, so that I can do an update, I am contacting them and trying to get from them, can they rebut what I have put forward with regards to its results? What can they give me that is going to say, hey, no, we believe that result is incorrect because of X, Y, or Z. Here's what we have from our own testing as part of this product's development, where we can prove with tangible data from this test protocol that it is an awesome lubricant in the use case of a bicycle chain. And to date, in basically 8 years of doing that, I can tell you the number of manufacturers that I've contacted, when they've had not great test results, that have been able to come back and give me something. We're currently at 0 ever. So it's pretty disappointing. I will reattempt to contact Finish Line again. I've got some other fun questions for them as well with this one, apart from trying to get obviously from them what do they have to substantiate the performance of this product. Stuff like, so the directions on this, this is the wet, the Finish Line wet. Sorry, the camera filter there. All right, and as you could see from the picture, it was wet. Directions: shake well, apply to chain, wipe excess, allow to dry. This will mark the first wet lubricant, I think. Come on, camera. That the wet lubricant wants you to allow it to dry so that it can remain wet. It was a funny one. I did allow it to dry, and you'll be shocked to know that there was absolutely zero difference in how wet it was, being that it is, in fact, a wet lubricant. So they're kicking goals with both feet already. Unless I get some really compelling information from Finish Line with regards to me needing to do either a retest or a test of something else, that will mark the end of testing I think that I will ever do on Finish Line products. I'm going to draw a pretty firm line under where I think Finish Line is with regards to their lubrication division for bicycle chains, and it's not a good spot. And hopefully there was I'm going to say a pretty conspiracy focused guy commenting with regards to what am I trying to hide with not testing Finish Line wet. I hope that helps explain why I sort of have concerns with regards to Finish Line products. He will probably still come up with some other conspiracy. However, it does keep us entertained. And lastly, before I forget, if you have been using Finish Line wet, please let me know your experience, whether it's been amazing or not, and especially if you've been able to have some wear rate tracking of that with some actual accurate chain wear checking and kilometer tracking. Would be great to get just some sort of anecdotal information from the big wide world. I'd love to. I should try to see if I can chase up again which was the pro team that was sponsored by Finish Line that had highlighted that product that they were going to be using. That was why I purchased it then to try to get to testing. So it had been on the shelf to try to get to for a fair while. I'd love to know from the pro team's perspective how they found that fairly gluggy kind of product with pretty darn high wear. So yeah, let me know if you have been on that and how you found it, and I'll then be able to sort of potentially hopefully include that in the full detail review when I get to that. Okay, I've got hopefully a little bit of a spot for maybe the next month where I've got a bit of a break in some manufacturer testing. So I'm going to be trying to get through some more open tests, because that has been not getting to as many of those as I would have liked in the last few years. So I have on hand from previous, I just grab some stuff sometimes just based off suggestions and try to keep them handy. I guess I've only got these couple at the moment to vote on. Would you like to see tested the Maxima? So I get a few requests overall with regards to testing Maxima products because they've got a pretty strong name, or I guess strong brand, from especially the motorcycle chain lubrication world. So there's the Maxima chain wax, or the Juice Lube's Viking chain lube all conditions. Let me know. I'll probably decide by Saturday afternoon, Sunday, which one is kicking off next. Once I get the machine reset ready for the next test. Also on test on another machine is the Ceramic Speed UFO wet conditions lubricant. So I had initially tested that last year, however I unfortunately had obtained what appears to be a batch issue, same as what Dave Roman and Ronan McLaughlin had at Escape Collective with the first bottles they had. It went very badly for them, and the test went very badly for me as well. And Ceramic Speed did confirm there was a batch issue, so Ronan received a new bottle, and that performed apparently vastly different and vastly better. So I have had some wet conditions that I've purchased commercially. Just been trying to get to a spot on a machine, tested, finished up for a manufacturer, and so we're jumping on now before we kick on the next test for that particular manufacturer. So I'll get the wet conditions for Ceramic Speed retested over the next hopefully few weeks, and be able to get that one updated. And then after that, as well as after either the Maxima or the Juice Lubes, some fairly common suggestions and ones that I've had on the list to also try to get to. So this is just some from the long list I keep of requests that come in. Right, so first one, over time I've had a bunch of requests for Fenwicks, but Fenwicks do have a number of lubricant options. So they've got an all conditions chain lube, they have a professional chain lube, they have a wet weather chain lube. Let me know if you would like to see Fenwicks, and I guess which one. Or, this is one I've been fairly curious about myself for a while. The Phil Wood Tenacious Oil is apparently very long lasting, especially in harsh conditions. Or, benchmarking against just your budget general purpose oil that you can buy from your local hardware store, or quite often even a supermarket will have your 3-in-1. No doubt one country's 3-in-1 may vary to another country's 3-in-1, but a 3-in-1 general purpose oil from your supermarket or hardware store is common basically everywhere. And will there be some, value in benchmarking against just a general purpose oil? Are a lot of the stuff that we're seeing out there on the shelves really, if they're not able to beat this, then obviously that's a bad sign. So let me know which one of these three options I should kick off with next, along with either the Maxima chain wax or the Viking Juice chain lube, which I'll get cranking shortly. Alrighty, I think I'll make this the last one today, because I've actually got, would you believe, a whole long list still to go, but I'm going to keep this video shorter than normal for me. And I'll do more news updates at the start of the next vid. But some of the comments on the GCN vid with myself, just sort of querying with regards to sort of wax strip and wet riding, and it was also covered on a GCN tech vid just recently as well, where a person was going down the wax path and having rusting issues with, even though they were wiping their chain post wet ride, putting a wax strip lubricant on, but still getting rusting. And the advice then was to, that they may perhaps have to move to a wet lubricant. And so I just wanted to, see if I can add any more, options or value just on that particular point. And so you're not to come across, as, just too hell-bent on it has to be sort of, wax all the time for all people in all conditions, because it just simply may be that moving to a wet lubricant for some people are running that as the go-to all the time, that may be the best path. But I just want to explore why someone may still be getting rusting on their chain, even though they are doing really, the right things in the advice we've been putting out as to what you should do if you are using a wax lubricant in wet conditions. So why was the chain rusting? And the short answer is it shouldn't be. If you have wiped the chain after you get back home from your wet ride, and then put a coating of a wax strip lubricant over the top, and it really shouldn't matter what wax strip lubricant you use. You're putting a wax drip lubricant over the top, and that should protect it. So something is going on. Now over time, we have been getting reports of there seems to be a particular chain that's an issue, and a particular lubricant going with that can be an issue. And it's pretty weird. It's being looked into further, but I don't have an answer yet. But basically, the Shimano 12-speed M8100 chain, the outer link plates on that are, for some reason, the most rust-prone links that we have ever seen, and also seemingly paired with the Silka SS drip. There might be just something with the fact that, I mean, all wax drip lubricants will typically use, not all, but most will use water as the carrier, or a large percentage of the carrier is going to be water. So there's just something going on seemingly with that particular wax strip and that particular chain that we have seen rust issues on those outer link plates, and it's something that Silka have been aware of as well, and I know that Silka have been chatting to Shimano. I haven't had back whether or not it was definitely that chain and that lubricant, so I put a comment on that just to query. However, so far that has been really the only cases I'm aware of where if somebody has applied their wax lubricant once they're back from their ride to protect their chain, especially if it's like in between immersive waxings, that has been the only combination that we've seen where rusting still takes place. So in this particular case, so if that has happened with yourself, I guess the general go-to is to just use a different wax strip lubricant. What you're doing is correct. Wipe the chain dry and then put a wax drip on over the top. Try something like True Tension Tungsten All Weather or Ceramic Speed's UFO drip. They're the main other recommendations to go with immersive waxing, so you can just re-wax with those products without needing to do any cleaning first. And you should not have any rusting or oxidation issues, hopefully even on the Shimano M8100. The other option is to change the chain from the M8100 on your next chain, because that really just does seem to be a bit of an odd one. I don't know if it's the same for the M7100. I haven't had a good look at those chains. We tend to deal mostly in just the sort of the higher tier chains. The M9100 chain is different, either coating or chain metal that they're using for the outer link plates seems to be the same as the inner link plates. It's not that shiny silver, it's the dull grey, and there have not been the reported rusting or oxidation issues for those plates. It's only been on the M8100, which is your basically Ultegra XT level. Lastly, if you've been getting any, spot rusting starting on any of your cogs or cassette teeth, again, it doesn't mean that you need to go to a wet lube. Not to be dissing wet lubes. Again, they may just be a great option for some in harsh wet conditions all the time. However, it's normally easily prevented. Just apply your wax drip, put a heavy coating on, cycle that chain. So as you're working that wax lube in, just cycle that chain through all of the cogs, or especially the steel cogs on a cassette. That is going to put a wax coating onto those cogs as well. Then wipe the excess off the chain and allow the set time. The wax coating that you're transferring from your chain onto the cogs should be plenty enough to protect them from oxidizing, and you shouldn't have that issue. So it's a really quick and easy one to solve any sort of rusting or oxidation issues if you're using a wax lube. Now, if that is still not, and this is rare, but it can occur more so in places that have salted roads and so on, where obviously what is left on your chain is quite a strong rust catalyst. Wipe your chain dry, wipe your cassette dry with a microfiber cloth, then get another just dry microfiber cloth, put some isopropyl alcohol onto that cloth. Isopropyl alcohol is great at removing just that, surface moisture from the chain that'll still be there from just a normal wipe, and also for removing some of that, rust catalyst off the surface as well. Not everybody needs to go to that length, but if you're finding that just doing what we ran through before, you're still getting some spot rusting, going that one extra step by wiping with isopropyl alcohol, that really, and then moving to those same next steps, that really should resolve the issue, and it's pretty quick and easy to do. And so if you've reached this, bit and been thinking, why would you sort of bother going through that as opposed to just run a wet lube? It's still always just going to come down to what's the lesser of the evils for you. So, some of the better wet lubricants can be great with regards to they're doing as excellent a job as anything at actually lubricating your chain whilst being put through a really harsh conditions, or harsh lubrication challenge. But as always, things come back to what happens after the ride. So, what is going to be the easiest way for you to reset the contamination that is now part of your chain, that if you don't take it out, it is going to remain part of the lubricant in your chain and cause a lot of friction and wear damage, because your next rides, with that crap in there, you do have some X level of now abrasive liquid in your chain that is masquerading as a lubricant. Obviously, it's often not a disaster after, say, one wet ride on the road. It may be after one wet ride off-road. So it's balancing that. You're going to have to pay the piper one of two ways. You're either going to pay the piper with a bit of time and maintenance to reset that lubricant in your chain, get the crap out, and get it back to being a lubricant and not an abrasive liquid. Or you're going to pay the piper in friction and wear by just whacking some more lubricant over the top. Now, for practicality reasons, depending on how often you're riding in the rain, like if you're an intrepid commuter, it may simply obviously not be practical, whether it's a wet lube or a wax lube, to be like either re-waxing each time or trying to reset a chain, be it wax or wet, in any particular fashion. You just got to push on through the week, and then you might be looking to do something on the weekend. But overall, the main question is, look, what is the easiest path for me to reset my chain frequently back to a nice, clean, lubed chain inside where it really counts, and not having all this abrasive crap in there that the water has trucked in nicely inside and it's not going anywhere unless I remove it. Now, remember again that in general, clean as they lubricate claims they just don't really bear out too well in practicality, especially for wet lubricants. You are, and sorry to keep, going through this point, but just in case this is your first one, when you reapply a wet lubricant, you're going to be putting on, say, around about 3 mil, 5 mil of lubricant to your chain, which will be over 100 links long. That is 0.03 to 0.05 of a mil per link that you are applying. There is only so much flush cleaning 0.03 of a mil or 0.05 of a mil can do to get crap out. It helps, obviously, but it helps only a little bit. You're improving, mostly it's about improving the ratio of lubrication to contamination. Some will come out, but the next ride's just more gets in, and you've still got a whole bunch that's in there from the first one that you haven't flushed out, and that's going to cause obviously wear and damage, and that can continue on to the rest of the drivetrain. So yeah, it always circles back to what is the easiest to keep your chain, the chain lubricant low friction and not abrasive. Is it easiest for you to do periodic maintenance on a wet lubricant chain, which is always going to need solvent to do your flush cleaning or degreaser? So is that the easiest path for you? Or is it the easiest path to reset the wax lubricant chain? And with the waxes the wax lubricants that we typically recommend, a lot of those can be reset either just with a boiling water flush rinse. It's not a perfect clean, but it does a very admirable job for just using boiling water, dry, relube, and yeehaw, you're set for your next riding. Or obviously, if you're using them as part of immersive waxing, there's just no easier way to reset the chain than pop it into a bath of wax, swish it when it's melted, hang it to set, and then you're putting the chain back on for your next ride. Even if you don't do a boiling water flush rinse before you do your immersive wax, and so you bring that stuff into your wax pot, yes, you're going to be making the wax less amazing over time because you're bringing whatever amount of contamination was in the chain into your wax pot. But again, you're putting it into, say, typically 400 to 500 mil of wax. It takes quite some time for the ratio of contamination to lubricant in your wax pot to remotely approach what's occurring on your chain when you're putting 0.03 to 0.05 mil of fresh lube over whatever crap is in there, without you having cleaned it. So it's just a super easy way to have a basically day in, day out, super low friction, low wear chain. So, but it's that balance. Immersive waxing obviously is not for everybody. Boiling water flush rinsing to reset chains may not be for everybody. Solvent degreaser flush cleaning chains may not be for everybody. So you've got to really decide for yourself what's the best, easiest path for you to stay on top of periodic maintenance. And if it's in the wet, frequent periodic maintenance to reset the contamination level in your chain and get it back to a low friction lubricant, not an abrasive lubricant. Alright, that will do. My apologies, that last clip was very poorly worded and I'm out of time to re-record it, so sorry for that. I'm going to have to run with it, but hopefully it made sense. Thank you as always for watching, and hope that this helped give some excellent information for you on some fronts. Thanks just as always in general for the support. It is obviously really what makes the magic happen. The support for the work that I do at ZFC is really what drives me to keep doing the work at ZFC. Just knowing that we're, I guess, doing our very best to try to get the best information that we can for you, and it's at the end of the day, I'm learning all the time, and as I learn from the testing and dealing with manufacturers and dealing with other sort of industry leads in the cycling area in this space, then I get to convey as much of the learnings as I can out to everybody, either by video and or document and data and so on. So there we go. But thank you as always, and we'll keep up to date next week on more tidings and happenings in the land of low friction. Thanks everybody, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next time. Oh yeah, and if there's anything weird with this video, please let me know. I've double checked, all clips are only added once, so there shouldn't be any duplications, and hopefully there will be no clips where suddenly it sounds like I've been hit in the nuts with a sledgehammer. If that occurs, please let me know so I can have a look, and I might have to start dealing with Filmora, but let's see. It's always a exciting journey of discovery.